Ngayurla, I'm a Barker, Wimbija, Barker, Wilcannia. Hello, I'm a Darling River black person from the Barker, the Darling River at Wilcannia. Today we're standing on the Darling River, the Barker, and we're talking about the desecration, what all the people that are supposed to manage the river and the desecration of what they're doing.
Corruption runs the system at the moment on a state and federal level. While we have Four Corners 12 months ago, not much has changed. We've got a Royal Commission in South Australia. Fundamentally, the bad guys are still winning, and New South Wales is still running policies to destroy the river even further, so pretty bad situation.
We keep getting told that the basin plan is going to offset any negative impacts, but we're wearing the brunt of them here today now, and there's been no recognition of that at all.
As you can see behind me, the empty lakes, the destruction of the lakes, and really the thing is, reading the Menindee Lakes Water Savings project that was released, yeah, it's bad news. It's really the destruction of all the lakes in this area. So that's why youth people are here to get it out there and you know, get the people interested in what they're doing out this way.
I mean, the water sharing plan changes virtually dealt a fatal blow to any connectivity below Bourke.
Access in the Northern Basin by irrigators is one of our problems because those low flows aren't coming through in dry years. There's been a lot of water recovery out of the Murray and the Goulburn systems and that they've bought it out of there, but they've transferred it up and put the onus on Menindee to deliver it down to South Australian environmental outcomes. And in doing that, they've just absolutely killed off our area.
In simple terms, what it is they have estimated a evaporation rate from the lakes. So if they keep the lakes dry, you're not supposedly losing that water through evaporation. Now, when I went to school, I know I'm getting old these days, but when I went to school, evaporation was part of the water cycle. It wasn't lost water, it didn't disappear. Their plan is to simply dry off the Menindee Lakes so that then they can use the water that they've calculated would have been lost in evaporation, and they can use that to offset against water that they no longer have to remove from the irrigation districts. It's not relevant, it's not correct. It's not real water that they're saving. It works on someone's spreadsheet as far as economic numbers go. In reality, on the ground, what it means is total devastation for a large area.
We used to have the most reliable supply anywhere in the Murray-Darling Basin on high security water. We've now got the least reliable supply of high security water in the Murray-Darling Basin. What's that done to us? Well, it's removed the ability to make long-term decisions, and in the permanent planting business, things like citrus or vines, you have to be able to take decisions on a 5 or 10 year time frame.
At our peak, I used to fill out over 200 group certificates. The reality is I've had to let, instead of having 14 hectares of prime table grapes, I've got 2 hectares of prime table grapes. For no other reason than I don't have the water for it.
The agricultural industry here on table grapes, stone fruit, down further below Pooncarie, citrus, a bit of citrus here, was export quality. It was magic. Well, most of them you'll see this afternoon when you drive around, the vines are dead, people have walked off their blocks. Can't sell them, walked off.
It has a debilitating impact on the community when that level of destruction of industry occurs.
We were never called to the table to discuss the ramifications of the changes that they made, which were going to be huge. Everyone knew that once you started to look at them. And we've had no recourse since. We still can't sit down and talk with them. I mean, water sharing plans are supposed to be interactive and talking to one another. In this case, they're like silos now, and we're still trying to get the opportunity to discuss it with the New South Wales government, which they steadfastly refuse to do.
So we've had no one come to our local community in Pooncarie and speak about the Menindee Lakes Savings Project. They've put out the business case, which I think is very, it doesn't go into much detail at all. It's a good sales pitch to maybe those in the cities that they're going to have all these amazing outcomes, but it is really going to be detrimental to every person who lives on the Lower Darling.
When they come out to do some token consultation, which once again was It's not consulting the community on what the community want, it's merely advising the community on what they're planning, or in fact, at this late stage, probably what they've already planned and set in motion.
Information is given and directed, so you will be allowed to have this amount of information. If you ask questions outside of that, you will not be allowed to have information.
There's not a lot of detail, and I'd really love to understand the operations of what they're proposing, but they haven't released any of that. All that we can see is that they want to draw the lakes down at a much rapider rate continually when we get water into them, and that just leaves us with no water to maintain the environment of the Lower Darling.
We do need transparency, we do need the facts. We're pretty intelligent out here. I think they treat us like goldfish. We're not really. We're pretty hardworking, pretty intelligent, pretty astute businessmen and women.
You know, our business is worthless without water. And it's not just our business, it's our house, it's our home, it's where we live. If we don't have water, you can't shower, you can't flush toilets, basic amenities you don't have. It's more than just a business, you know, this is our house, this is our home, this is where we live.
And so you've got irrigators up north who were drawing down water that would normally float into our lake system. Now, one of those irrigators knew that the water that they were pumping up north wasn't going to make it down here, and good luck to him. Made a good deal and got out of it with a nice tidy package.
While one large corporate agribusiness has been favourably accommodated, everyone else has been ignored, and yet their impacts are just as real and just as significant, and effectively they've been left whistling Dixie.
I mean, it's symptomatic of where we're going with the management of water in the basin. Unfortunately, the big end of town have got the ear of politicians, and the small end of town, no one will listen to them.
You know, who they're patting on the back. Maybe because here we haven't got a lot of money like the cotton growers got. We just ordinary old sheep farmers and growing a few grapes. Maybe that's the problem.
As far as the any offers of compensation, there's been nothing that I'm aware of anywhere certainly in the Lower Darling.
There's been no compensation at all, and we really feel abandoned by government.
The government got to come and sit down with us, because just tell you, with our native title, without the river, us Barkindji people, we're nothing. We got no land, we got no name, we got nothing. It's our lifeblood, it is our mother.
The ramifications of destroying this river are not just me and my little fish, it's about the big picture, and Australians have got to understand it is the biggest war being fought in Australia in our country's history, because we're not going overseas with guns, we're standing here watching our environment turn into what you see behind us, which is an absolute disgrace. And up our way on the Darling, by Christmas the river will be dry.
It's sad. There's not a lot of political clout out here. The Menindee Lakes project is about generating a lot of SDL offsets, which are a currency item in the Basin Plan. And from a government perspective, both state and federal, it's far easier to do that here than it is in Griffith or Deniliquin, and that's a political decision.
We're deeply concerned for the future of this area, and something definitely needs to change.
The government made the mistake, like they're doing to our Barker, our beloved Barker. People that's on the river now, they got to give us a chance. Even though we write it in isolated, they got to forget going around telling people lies and getting a lot of votes and all that. That's all it is. Yeah. They should be thinking of the people.
This is not natural. This is not drought. This is a man-made disaster of epic proportions that's killing the river system by government policy, and that's a disaster.